and it's extremely doubtful that they could ever have mustered a parliamentary majority. So it was done in secret. There was a law drawn up by the Secretary of State. It was given to the Queen to rubber stamp in Council, and it became law on European election day in June 2004. And it banned the islanders from ever going home. Well, that was not only considered outrageous by many people, but it was almost a direct breach of what the High Court had said in 2000, when the Chagossians first went to the High Court and asked for a declaration that their removal was unlawful, and which was then accepted by the government, because on that day Bancoult, who was then Foreign Secretary, announced that he was going to accept the judgment. And he did more than that. He spoke to Madeleine Albright, who was the Secretary of State in Washington, and he said that he told me, he spoke to the Chagossians and me, and he said that the High Court judgment was useful in that it enabled him to persuade her that the islanders should be allowed back on the island. Well, he went further than that and passed a law enabling them to do so. And he also set up a study to facilitate the resettlement of the islanders. He said, the resettlement of the islands now takes on a renewed significance. Now, if that was not a statement encouraging the belief that the islanders are going to be able to go back home in light of the High Court's judgment, it's difficult to know what it meant. But I'm sorry to say that as the study drifted year after year into inconsequential preliminary stages only, in none of which were the islanders themselves consulted, despite all the rules of resettlement programs which require the people being resettled actually to be consulted to see what social capital and what ideas they have, what needs they have, what can be provided for them. All that was put to one side, and the consultants were directed on a very narrow basis to consider certain things and not others. Some of them quite ridiculous, like how much water is there in the ground at Chagos when in fact it's the highest rainfall in the world. There's 4,500 millimetres of rain per year, and the population has historically lived by capturing it and using it, and it's a perfectly adequate way to maintain an unlimited population. So they spent a year or two digging holes in the ground and deciding that there was a lot of sand and not much water. But anyway, all that was a complete distraction and completely irrelevant, because come June 2004, the government decided to have a U-turn anyway, that they were no longer willing to let the population back, that the Americans were to be indulged in their requirement for a cordon sanitaire extending over 100